What's up everyone? Today we're going to move one of my last remaining aquariums, and that is the 150 gallon cube aquarium right here. To start, we'll remove the lids. Next we'll remove all of the decorations. Next I want to gravel pack this aquarium. As you saw, whenever I moved out all the decorations, I stirred up a lot of debris, and I haven't done this since we purchased the house, so it's been a good 2 months or so. So I definitely want to do this before I move the fish because I want to use this sand again. Next I have a bucket with an air stone in it. What I'm going to do is siphon out all of the sand into this bucket and turn on the air stone to attempt to try to keep the beneficial bacteria alive in this cycled sand, because I do want to reuse it for this aquarium and it is cycled with beneficial bacteria, so adding this air stone can help keep it alive during the time that the aquarium's not set up. So all that I do is I get a hose and put it into the aquarium. Get a siphon going and suck up all the sand. Next I'm going to fill up this stock pond here with about half or 3/4 worth of the aquarium water. I just have this tube hooked up to an overflow on my tank, and it's just draining out all this water here. Makes water changes really easy. Next I'm going to drain out water into both of these buckets here. Now we got to take all this stuff out of the sump so that we can hook it up to that stock pond that you just saw over there. Now I'm not going to record much of this part, but basically I'm going to take all of the media out and stick it into those buckets that we just filled up with some water, and then I'm going to clean this out and then fill it back up with tank water and then put the media back in, get it running on that tub over there, and then we'll put all the fish in. Alright, so I cleaned out the sump and now I have it filling up with some aquarium water. I'm going to fill it up completely, or well, as much as it's supposed to be filled up with water, and then we're going to put in all the media back in here, and then we'll get the fish into that other pond. Now we've got the stock pond set up. It's running off of the sump. That will keep all the beneficial bacteria alive. I'll also filter out this aquarium while the fish are living in it, because they're going to be in here for at least a day, maybe 2 days at most. But we'll put them on here now and then we'll move the tank. So it's the next day, and as you can see, I have the sump filter running off of the stock pond here. Now what I'm going to do is fill up a bunch of buckets with this dirty tank water. This is dirty tank water from the previous tank, so that way I didn't kill off the filter. And we're going to transfer all of the media here into those buckets and set up the sump on the new aquarium along with all of the new media. We're going to take all this dirty water with us, so that way, again, we don't kill off the filter. And then once we have it all set up over there, we're going to come back to get the fish, and then we'll get them, take them to their new home. So I've got the buckets filled up with media here. I also have a few other buckets full of just dirty water. I'm going to put lids on them here, and I'll get them over to the new place along with the tank. So I've got my sump underneath of the aquarium here. I have it partly sticking out, so it's kind of teeter-tottery, but I'm going to fill it up with water, just enough to submerge all of the media, and I'm going to slide it under the tank and plumb it, everything like that, and then we'll start filling up the main tank up here. This compartment here is all of the biological media, so I have some ceramic rings. This one here is also biological. This is some DIY media. Might have to put this one back into the water because of the way it's situated. It's not really submerged the same way this stuff is. That's just a miscellaneous bag. This is some Chemi Pure. I'm just gonna leave it in that one for now. It goes in the chemical filtration compartment. This is just a filter sponge. Pretty coarse. And then I put all of my other mechanical media up on top of that. Bag of lava rock. Another bag of lava rock. And another bag of lava rock. Like to keep a diversity of media in there, so we fill that out. Might be able to get. We got that enough filled up too. Don't really care about the sponge since that's not my main biological filtration. Actually, it's not intended to be biological filtration at all, but inevitably beneficial bacteria is going to live on here. So I'm just going to slide this under the tank. Alright, so this is the return compartment, and unfortunately the way that the stand is set up, I actually have to go in from the front to get the pump in here, and it's just the way that I built the stand. I built it to be the max height possible to fit through the doorways, and this is just the way that it turned out. So I have just like a full length 3/4 inch tube here. I'm just gonna rough cut it down to here. So the way it's set up, I have this so I can release it from the filter. It's just a matter of getting the length correct here, so it's gonna take a little bit of messing around. Alright, so I cut most of that footage here. It was pretty hard to actually work in here and film it as I kind of suspected that it would be, and I just wanted to get it going. So the pump is all set up, the filter, it's good to go. Now I'm gonna start setting up the aquarium up here. Alright, so what I did here was dump in some old dirty aquarium water, and this is all of the sand that was previously in the aquarium. So as is, it's cycled. What I'm going to do is add more sand though, and then I'm going to start filling it up with water. Before I start filling it up with the new water though, I'm going to heavily dose this with dechlorinator, so that way I can attempt to avoid killing off all of the bacteria that's living in the sand. Now I wish I would have had more dirty aquarium water, but I was pretty much at my limit with buckets, so that's as good as I could get it. Alright, I'm just going to dose this thing with the dechlorinator now. I'm going heavy with it. Mix up this sand real good. Just two different colors, two different grades. The one that I had in there previously was pretty coarse, and this is kind of fine. Just mix it up a little bit, best I can. Alright, so I finally got it set up and running. It probably looks way cloudier on there than it looks in person. I can actually clearly see from side to side, and it's just that general foggy tank whenever you first set it up. We're going to go back to my house to get the fish, and I suspect that by the time we come back it should have cleared up a little bit after the filter has run some. I'm not going to set up any of the decorations tonight. My main concern is just to get the fish in here, and of course to have had the aquarium set up, just because the filter obviously is pretty important and we wanted to keep all the beneficial bacteria alive the best we can. So we're going to head on over to my house and get the fish. Actually, rather, I'm going to go to my house, get the fish, and then come back here because I don't really want to record that part, so I'll be right back. So the aquarium's been running. It's a little bit clearer than it was. It's looking good, running well. I got all of the fish in buckets down here. Their water temperature is the same, or it feels to be the same as what's in here. So I'm just going to net them and put them into here. But after I do so, I'm going to drain some of this tank water out and put their dirty tank water in here, just since we didn't have that much earlier. Just want to make sure that we have enough. So I'm going to start putting the fish in here. Now, as much as we would like to keep live plants in all of our setups, the reality of it is that just some fish, we're not going to be able to do that. Of course, I have a clan of silver dollar tetras in there. They're going to make quick work of just about any plant. So I have some fake plants here. They look relatively real, and I just buy these at, I get most of these at Hobby Lobby actually, but you could get them really at any sort of home decor store or something like that. And typically they'll come in a bunch, and at the end it's almost like metal things that you can bend. You just got to make sure you cut out any metal pieces so it's all just plastic. And you also want to find ones that it's plastic that's actually different colors of plastic, not painted or anything like that. With this, it's actually different colors of plastic molded together, and you can really easily tell if you take a good enough look. But this is all pure plastic. We're good with that. And then I have some zip ties. These are 87 cents each at Walmart. We got 40 of them here. We'll need about 2 for each bunch. And then we have 6 yards, or 6 square feet actually. It's 2 yards worth of just like a nylon mesh. I also got this at Walmart. Cost me $1.94, so it's pretty cheap to make these. Much cheaper than it is obviously to buy your own. And they're, in my opinion, gonna look better. So I'll show you guys what I like to do here. I also forgot that we're going to need some gravel. Again, this is a really cheap item. You could get a 50-pound bag of it at Home Depot or something like that for around, I want to say $3.50, $4, somewhere in that range. So really, it's quite accessible. But we just get ourselves a little square of nylon, handful of gravel, bunch it up, spin it around, and grab a zip tie. Tie it, but not too tight, because you want to be able to put the other zip tie down through there. And we got to go and bunch up the plants. Now with these, I actually bent them up. It's not the metal part, they've just been like that for so long that they kind of kept their shape. But with these, you'll get a better idea of what I meant as far as placing the zip tie. So it's nice with these because I have that little bend in them. But if you don't have something for the zip tie to catch on, if you have some rambunctious fish, or just maybe over time, the zip tie could come loose from the plants. So you just want to make sure that you have them on there pretty well. And then, once you get it like that, stick a zip tie down through there, tighten this one good, stick this zip tie down through the one on the bag here, turn up your bag, tighten that zip tie, and then finally go ahead and tighten the zip tie on the plant. So 3 total. I think originally I said 2, but 3 is definitely the perfect number here. Snip all that off, snip off the extra bag, and there, just like that. So when you're all done, you should end up with some plants that look like this. This isn't all of the ones that I'm going to make. I just want to get some in there now so that the fish feel more secure and at home. And again, you don't really need to go too crazy with the rocks. If it's enough to allow it to sink to the bottom, and it usually doesn't take much, remember that you're going to bury this under the sand as well, so that will help keep it down. But why don't we go ahead and get these into the aquarium. Now before we actually go in here and start setting it up, I guess I should say before we add the plants, I'm going to have to hardscape, but I want to clean off the glass here real quick. It has a lot of sediment on it from whenever I set up the aquarium initially, so I just want to go and clean off the glass a little bit just so we can see in here better. So the first thing that we're going to add is the driftwood. Now I tested this not long ago, and I wasn't even thinking that if I left this out of the aquarium for a few days, I think it was, when I set this up Monday, so it's been 3 days, that it would gain some of its buoyancy back. So this piece here is actually floating a little bit. We'll have to hold it down with the rocks or intertwine it with some of the other ones. Now then, we're gonna get some of these stones here. First order of business is that air stone. Always gotta watch out for the banjo catfish. I've been intently making sure that I knew where he was throughout this whole process, because everybody else is agile enough to get out of the way, or at least for me to notice them in time. But with him, he looks like a stick and he acts like one too. Chances are that I'm going to adjust this aquascape over time, make it look different, but right now I'm just trying to get a decent setup so that way the fish again feel more at home, and so that I don't have to look at a plain glass aquarium. Now with that, I'm trying to create little spaces for some of the fish to hide, because I feel like before I didn't really do a good enough job at that. I mean, obviously this is a community tank, so none of the fish are overly aggressive, but they do like hiding spots. Alright, so the scape is looking decent. Again, I'm not trying to make the best scape here, just slapping it together, trying to get something that the fish will like. I'm not really too concerned about myself right now, but we're just going to add the plants in here. As you saw, it easily sunk into place, and all I gotta do is bury that bag of gravel, and it looks a little something like that.